Good Friday evening, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. We have some interesting information possibly to go over in this evening's video. This event is beginning to unfold across areas of the central and southern plains. So uh, we can look at that possibly, but right now we're just going to look at some of the latest and greatest from our weather models and the National Weather Service. So like this video if you like it, subscribe if you have not done so already, and please comment where you're watching from. It's greatly appreciated. So we're going to start off here right where we currently are. So this is just, our watches and warnings and advisories. So we'll start outward. These blue up here are winter storm watches. These kind of blue colors that you see are winter weather advisories, just a tick below. And then these winter weather advisories, there's some mixed in, really just, I'll do it this way. This right here, winter weather advisories, winter storm watches. Same down here, advisories and watches. And then, yeah, so let's move inward a little bit. This is the majority of our high impact areas here, and this is winter storm warnings. So very huge number of people under those. And then these have been expanded greatly. So the winter storm warnings, but these two areas of these are ice storm warnings, have expanded greatly from this morning. So I think they're in good places right now. I don't see anywhere I think they should be, and I'm not a professional anyway, let's be honest. So I think the professionals got it down pretty well here. So let's move on. In fact, you know what? I'm just going to skip over this until we get here. So this is for areas further to the east, areas where this event has not started yet. You can see what was left in frame here of extreme risk category here from the Weather Prediction Center and their Winter Storm Severity Index. Extreme impacts expected in northern Mississippi and southern areas of Tennessee, and I fully believe it. We have some extremes showing up here in the mountains of North Carolina, Georgia, and South Carolina. And then, areas of major impacts along here. This very, very closely mirrors our highest freezing rain totals. I think we might fill this area in here with some more major as well as this. Who knows? Not a professional. And let's move on here. So this is the latest RRFSA model. I think it has the best handle on our moisture types here. And we move this on. This is getting into tonight. And this is midnight Central Time. We have snow breaking out in areas of Arkansas and Oklahoma, as well as Kansas and Nebraska, all the way back here across areas of New Mexico, and then a lot of freezing rain beginning to show up. I don't think the RRFSA is cold enough. That's what's one thing. I think this area down here might be a little hard to see. I don't know if there'll be that much rain. I think some of this will be mixing, but nonetheless, zoom out just a tick and then move this over. So as we get into the morning hours, sun is starting to come up in this time frame here. We can see our separation of systems. So we have system number one. There are severe storms down through Houston on this run. I kind of buy it and I kind of don't. It's possible that this happens. I'll just put it that way, but I don't really know if it'll be warm enough for all that. But then what do we get? Boom. Secondary area here. Another axis of very heavy precipitation in general out here, centered over, the panhandle of Texas, and a lot of snow beginning to mix in to areas that may have started off as freezing rain, and then a lot of freezing rain on the south side of it, and it's moving up. We have training freezing rain storms. Some of these are even kind of convective. So thunder snow, thunder sleet, and thunder ice are a thing where it's, you look outside, it's snowing, you might hear lightning because there is some instability in the atmosphere from this in certain areas. So keep an eye out for that. And if you do end up seeing that, please leave a comment on this video after this event is over. If you heard it, that'd be cool. So let's see here. This is getting into the evening and overnight hours on Saturday. So let's move this ahead. Very large storm system here. Let's move this right here. This is 7 a.m. Very common forecast is 12Z. And we have a big area of freezing rain here across areas of, right along the areas that have ice storm warnings. That's why I kind of think that the RRFSA has a pretty good handle on this. Some of these are very, very heavy. They're training, some very catastrophic totals showing up on our models and what's expected. And then we have our secondary area here. Let's move Epic Pen just a little bit. We have, this is our cold air damming region right here. We kind of have cold air. There's a high up here that's throwing cold air down from the Arctic and all the way down into the Carolinas here. I think our models are still struggling with this CAD, this cold air damming. I think they're underdoing it. I think they're warming the temperatures and eroding that CAD too early and too quickly. But nonetheless, move this on here. Very heavy snow along the Ohio River mixing with some sleet. Freezing rain getting all the way up into Philadelphia. I don't know if we're going to get that, guys. Even New York. I don't know. That seems a little bit off. But the CAD down here in upstate South Carolina holds on for dear life. You can see here where we have kind of an extension of a line of storms showing up. I think that's a really good depiction here. Very aggressive warm nose getting up into near Pennsylvania, into Pennsylvania. I don't know if we're going to get that, guys. But nonetheless, holds on for dear life, and it still erodes it. I don't think that's accurate. And even if we do, let's say this frame right here is true. So, we look down here and we're switching to rain in areas of the Greenville, Spartanburg area down to Atlanta. It doesn't matter. That doesn't save you from impacts. They've already happened. If anything, it just makes things slushier, and then it ends up just ruining travel even more than it already has been. And then it freezes at night as a sheet of ice. So it doesn't make it better to switch to rain. You really just hunker down. There's no escaping this, guys. This frame like this right here, this is be like 5 p.m. Very heavy freezing rain showers. This would be probably a peak chance based on this model to hear thunder ice, because there's literally a line of sub-severe or severe storms down here to the south. So then let's just look at this beast of a snowstorm areas of the Northeast. The entire state of New York is snowing heavy, except for very, very, New York City might be sleet at this time. That's a little bit amped though. I don't know if we're going to get that. And it moves on out. So how about our snowfall totals? They're nothing to scoff at. I mean, look at some of these totals. That's 25 inches in McAllister, looks like. I mean, I could name cities all day long. Just southeast Oklahoma really getting hit hard on this. Even over to Little Rock, you get 14 inches. I don't know if we're going to get that either. You guys might switch a little bit early and then end up with just more freezing rain, more ice. Very impressive totals up here through the Northeast. Areas you see in purple are 6 inches or more, and the white is over a foot. So very impressive totals here. Our global models agree. What about ice? This is the big story for a lot of these regions. We're going to look at the Euro first. I think the Euro is kind of onto something, but it's kind of not. The National Weather Service really highlights more this region, not this region, not this region. So it's possible. It does the system over here, this part, maybe a little bit better. Except I think we'll have totals like in the blue that look more like this. I'll show you our graphic here in a second. Even if the blue is, that's an inch or more. I don't know about that. But nonetheless, let's move this on. I think the National Weather Service has bought the GFS scenario days ago, and I think they still are. Except I think the GFS needs to uptrend its totals. Crazy to say, of ice. I think it needs to move this to where it's like this. So it's close, but not exact. I think the Euro does a little bit better. This is our main corridor of expected heaviest freezing rain. However, I think that the GFS does pretty well with this one over here. We've got highest totals in these areas. Maybe not exact, but Northeast Georgia, upstate South Carolina being a hot spot here has been modeled a few times, and we kind of can see that in our ice graphics. So let's move this on and look at what we're expecting in these regions. I just updated these a second ago, so I know they're fresh. This is, if you're watching the Eastern U.S., this would be 9/17. When this is updated, it's 9:44 now. Very fresh information. You can obviously see it's listed in Central Time. These are horrific totals, to put it lightly. Or maybe not lightly, but to put it simply. Areas I just circled, can expect widespread, numerous power outages. I mean, I don't know how to put it. Granada, you're expected. This is not. This might even be conservative. I don't know. You're expected to get an inch and 21/10, 21/100 of freezing rain. So an inch and then 2/10, pretty much, of freezing rain, inch and a quarter. Up to Tupelo, it's the same story. Down to Greenville, although yeah, that's 86/10, so nearly 86/100. I got this right, 9/10 nearly. But I'm primarily, I want you to focus on this half. We'll move over to the eastern areas in a second, but let's look here at the high end. This, unfortunately, I don't even know if this is really high end as much as they're saying it is. This, I think, or rather, I'll put it this way: I think this has more than a 10% chance of happening. Greenville, Clarksdale, Granada, Tupelo, up to Bolivar, Tennessee. This is bad when it comes to freezing rain. Notice how these totals, like Granada here, you're not even that much higher than you were on your expected because you're already near the ceiling of this event. The reason that some of these totals might not be higher is because there's only so much moisture available in the atmosphere at a given time. So I think if we had an inch more moisture just floating around in the atmosphere, it would probably all fall as freezing rain. We have even more horrific totals here. But you can see it, northern half of Mississippi really getting targeted, southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana. I apologize for not having those graphics pulled up. I can't really find a good one for those. So yes, that is all for this sector. How about we move this? We'll start with what we expect. I think this is pretty good so far. Highlighted region and kind of another highlighted region here, all the way up to Richmond. Half inch, let's say 3/10 to half inch totals expected across a lot of the regions here, was some of the higher elevations and the southeast facing. Southern and southeast facing slopes really are good at wringing out moisture. We saw that with the Hurricane Helene back in 2024, with like 30 inches of rain in some areas because those slopes are really good at just wringing out every little bit of moisture. And with the temperatures we're going to have, it'll all fall as freezing rain most likely. So there's this. And let's show you the high end amount. I don't think this is high end to the extent that they're saying it is. We have, let's make this a little bit smaller. We have 3/4 of an inch or more from nearly Atlanta, even though your number's not, it's near Atlanta to Richmond. And that's a really, really broad corridor here. But you can obviously see that there's higher 1 inch or greater totals down here. I think this is accurate. I think we might well see this. I don't think that we're going to struggle to get half an inch of freezing rain based on what I've seen today. If we have more sleet in these areas, then it will knock some of these totals down. And if you live in these areas like I do, I'm begging for that. I'm praying for that to happen. Really, I am. I did earlier multiple times because I don't want to lose power for days on end. I don't want that. No one does. So, that's, let me just click back on this. You may remember, if you live in some of these areas, there was an ice storm back in 2005. It was 21 years ago. And it is the only analog that comes close to some of these totals that we're seeing. And regardless, take a guess. Pause it and take a guess about how, I'll circle the region of, right in here. What do you think? That was a pretty significant ice storm. What do you think the totals were? Just take a second. Write it in the comments. I don't care. Just think about it. Pause the video. Think about it for a second. And I'll tell you in 3, 2, 1, it was 1/4 of an inch across most, if not all of this area. And it was considered and was a very dangerous, very high impact system. It was the only analog that came close. We are double that in areas, a lot of areas, for our expectations. We are nearly quadruple that in this graphic. And I think that this is very realistic at the same time. I don't gain anything by scaring people. I need you guys to understand that. If you live in Anderson, up to Charlotte, down to Athens, and it's like highlighted region here, and I'm saying that we could have absolutely horrific ice totals, I live here. right in here. That doesn't help me to scare you guys. But nonetheless, especially because if you don't live here and you don't know, we had a hurricane come up like this. Hurricane Helene back in 2024 in September, the 26th and the 27th, mainly just the 27th. Went right through this area as tropical storm strength, wrung out 30 inches plus of rain in these areas, 9 to 15 in these, brought 80 mile per hour plus gust in the higher elevations and 60s and 70s across most of the upstate. It was terrible. We lost power for a few days at a time. We were very lucky. Most people had it off for nearly a week, and the tree damage was terrible. Our local news network is comparing this, what the impacts could be for tree damage and power outages in this region, which, keep in mind, is not even, this is less. This is about half of what they're calling for areas further west. Keep this in mind and brace yourself. Helene was a tropical storm force storm when it came through, maybe low in category 1. What they're comparing it to is a category 3 hurricane in its possible damage potential for trees and power outages. That's scary. I mean, I live right in the middle of it. That is scary. And so I bring that up because that's a local news network that's very reputable. They have a reputation to uphold, and they're saying that on live TV. That's significant. And, I'll have to click back off of it. We move this back over here for a second. If you live in here, your winds might be a little bit higher, but even if they aren't, I can't begin to fathom. This is 3/4 of an inch more than they're calling for over here. You can see it right here. 6/100ths in Greenville, so 6/10, and then 1 inch and 2/10. That's double, nearly exactly double in Grenada what we're expecting over here in Greenville. And our local news network is saying that a lot of this area, when it comes to tree damage, could be like a category 3 hurricane. I need to stop yapping, but you get the point. This is not to play around with. Stay safe. If you have a generator, I hope you do. If you have a generator and you have ways to use it, ways to hook it up to your house, please do it safely. Don't put it in your garage. Don't put it indoors. Some people are not aware that will kill you from carbon monoxide poisoning. Don't do that. Put it outside. At least I think they recommend 20 feet away from the entrance or entrances of your house, or a fan that pulls air into your house. Don't put it near there. And as for keeping warm, we're going to be very cold in the days after this. Minimal melting, sub-zero temperatures appear possible across areas that see the most accumulations of these ice, sleet, and snow totals. And we won't even have power. Please stay safe. There will undoubtedly be a death toll that gets counted with this storm because of how widespread it is. So I'm going to show you here. This is the JFS. I think it has a pretty good idea for snow. This is like the U.S., for example, border to border. Let's pick a different color. Here, how did I accidentally click this? I apologize. Here to here is roughly 3,000 miles. We're at 2/3 of it. That's a 2,000 mile wide storm. And you can only imagine how many millions of people are under this. So please stay safe. I mean, this is only snow. Let me show you sleet just briefly here. Very heavy sleet totals, overdone. Here's our freezing rain. So we kind of layer this out. Freezing rain. Just north of that, sleet. And then just north of that, snow. This is such a high impact system. There will be people that pass away from this, unfortunately. Do everything in your power to make sure you're not one of them. Okay? Don't do stupid things. Don't travel, if at all possible. Be smart with your generator. Stay warm at night. And pray and hope for the best. This is going to be a bad one. There's no way we're avoiding this, okay? So this is the latest Euro. Very similar story. Almost identical. So we're going to go back here, reload this, just make sure. Yeah, very similar. So yeah, that's the latest. That's all I got for you. Please stay safe and tune in tomorrow morning. I should have a video out at some point going over mainly areas of the Mississippi River Valley and points east. So stay tuned, stay safe, and I will see you in the next one.